Hey, this is Spencer the photographer. Welcome to my channel. And in today's episode, what I want to do is I want to talk about mini senior portrait sessions. And what does that mean? What is it? And what are the benefits? Why do people choose them? And we're also going to go through some of the tips and tricks that you can take away to help you maximize your experience if you decide to do a senior portrait session in mini format. First off, let's talk about what is a mini portrait session. So a mini portrait session is just what the name suggests. It's a shorter version of a traditional portrait session. For most photographers, a traditional portrait session is going to range somewhere between 60 to 90 minutes in length. And they move at a certain pace. There's, dedicated wardrobe changes, even sometimes hair and makeup changes, depending on what you've planned for that setup. That's what a traditional portrait session looks like, which is also, again, one of the reasons why they're 60 to 90 minutes. Typically from traditional portrait sessions also for seniors, it's not uncommon to get 20 to 30, sometimes even up to 50 images from the session. For a lot of people, that's a lot of time that they just don't have. The other thing to think about is a lot of times traditional portrait sessions happen in the spring, and it's usually done for those individuals who are currently juniors in high school going into their senior year. So when we think about mini sessions, it's a bit of a different situation and a little bit of a different audience. Well, first and foremost is a mini session is instead of being 60 to 90 minutes, usually we're only 20 to 30 minutes. For me and my studio, when we do mini sessions, they're only 20 minutes in length. When it comes to the number of images, we're usually talking 5 to 10 instead of 20 to 50. And for a lot of individuals, that's enough. That's really all they need. They need just a couple of key signature photos to put in graduation announcements, to put in other like school yearbook. Also, sometimes one of the big things that people will do with their senior portrait photos is they'll print them large and hang in their house, or at least their parents will. They'll sometimes send copies off to grandparents or other people of meaning to the family. And it's one way that individuals choose to decorate their home or their workspace is they will have then printed versions of these photos from these mini sessions. The other thing to keep in mind is that wardrobe changes are a little more strategic and they're also a little more limited. We're not traditionally doing full-blown wardrobe changes. We're not doing hair and makeup changes from one look to the next. And then the other is we're not doing dramatic location changes. Typically with a senior or a mini session, we are working within the same general location that has variety to the look and feel of it. So we can go from one area to the next very, very quickly in a matter of seconds and have completely different looking sets of images. The other reason why individuals typically will book a mini session over a traditional portrait session is sheer cost. Traditional portrait sessions are on the low end going to cost just under $1,000. On the high end, they're going to cost over $2,000. Mini sessions, on the other hand, are going to start around $300 and below, depending on the photographer, location, how many images you get from it, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of variables that play into where that actual cost runs. But when you look at that, the cost is half or more. The other scenario why people will pick a mini session over a traditional session, part of it comes down to their sheer comfort of being in front of the camera. They don't view themselves as an outgoing individual personality-wise. They don't feel comfortable being in front of the camera. But they do still, to some degree, want a nice picture or two of themselves, but they don't like the idea of being in front of a camera for an hour to an hour and a half. It creates a lot of anxiety. The 20-minute window for a lot of people is a lot more manageable. And one of the last reasons why is schedules got crazy during the spring and summer, and they just didn't get to it. And now they have actually started their senior year. They're into their senior year. Fall is setting in. They want that nice look and feel to their fall photos of fall photos, and they want that look and feel to their images. And so that's another reason why is the timing of their schedule and of the season. So those are kind of the main reasons why people will book a mini session. When it comes to deciding if you want to do a mini session, there's a couple of things that you need to think about and you need to consider. These come down to things like the photographer themselves. Who's going to take the picture? Who are you going to feel comfortable working with and hiring to be the one responsible to take your pictures? One of the things you want to think about is their personality. how outgoing are they? How are they at guiding and directing people for their pictures? And I know that that's going to be a little bit of a hard one to gauge, but part of it is things like watching these videos like this of them. Are they putting themselves out there? Okay? Because again, keep in mind that with 20 minutes, you don't have a lot of time, especially if this isn't something you normally do, to try and figure out how to model and how to pose in front of a camera to get some good senior portraits. So personality of the photographer, that's a key thing to think about and to evaluate. The other thing to evaluate is the location that they're using for their mini session. And the reason I say they're using is not versus you're using is because the photographers usually set and pick a single location because they will traditionally do multiple sessions throughout the day at the same location, and they will have multiple people coming through. And that is what we would be experiencing with our studio when we do senior portrait sessions in a mini format. And like, for example, one of the upcoming sessions that we're planning for is at a winery in the area. And one of the reasons I chose and have partnered with this winery is because of the variety of look and feel their space has to offer. And they also have their main hall for when they host weddings and things of that nature. So that has a very nice architectural look and feel to it. But right across the walkway, I mean, it takes you 10, 20 seconds at most to go from one side to the other. They now have the vineyards and these trees and these vista views that are just so beautiful that they allow for that variety of look and feel to your photos. And so that way, in that 20 minutes, we are getting a wide variety of options to pick from. One of the things that I'll do is if you join the wait list for this upcoming session, I will communicate the actual vineyard name or winery name and send some photos that I took when I went out and explored the winery, so you can get some ideas of what that location is going to look like. When you've decided that you want to go ahead and move forward with a mini session, one of the first things you'll want to do, especially with our studios, you'll want to get on our wait list because we only do mini sessions twice a year. We don't do them all the time. They're not a regular offering for us. And so you'll want to make sure that you want to join the wait list. In the description of this video is I've got a link where you can sign up to join the wait list for the upcoming session. We will notify you specifically to the next time we do one. So you'll want to make sure you sign up in the wait list using the link in the description below. The other thing to think about is then, let's say you've decided to move forward with doing a mini portrait session, regardless of who you've booked it through. Let's talk about some tips and tricks that you can do to be prepared. Now, this isn't all of the tips and tricks that I've got. So what I would also recommend is I've got another link in the description below for a PDF that you can download that walks through more tips and tricks. It answers more questions tied to mini portrait sessions. So if there's more questions you've got that I didn't answer already, you'll want to click the link below and download that free PDF. So now that you've planned it, let's talk about how do you prepare for your mini portrait sessions. Let's talk about wardrobe. That's one of the biggest questions people ask is, how do I plan my wardrobe for my mini portrait session? Well, one of the best ways to do it, first and foremost, get on Pinterest. And you can search by gender, you can search by ethnicity, you can search by color palette, you can search by material. There's a lot of different ways that you can search for wardrobe ideas for senior portrait sessions. Get on there first and foremost and start to get an idea of what you like. Heck, make a Pinterest board and start putting a collection together and collaborate with your friends and your family about ideas of what you want to do. The other thing when thinking about your wardrobe is planning it in a way that you can do a layered approach to your wardrobe. And the reason why I say this is because we've only got 20 minutes to shoot. You don't have a lot of time to go and do full wardrobe changes with what you've got. Otherwise, you burn up your time and you won't get a lot of photos from it. And that's part of how you maximize your time is you dress in a layered approach. And a layered approach also includes things like any accessories that you may wear, whether it's like a hat or a scarf or earrings, necklaces, bracelets, anything of that nature that could be used to accessorize. They should accentuate and tell your personality. They should showcase who you are. Other accessories to think about bringing are if you are involved in any sort of sports or play an instrument. Bring those items with you. Within reason, I don't want you to bring a grand baby piano with you, right? But bring something with you that you could use to help visually illustrate or tell that part of who you are from personality-wise. Those are things that we can easily pick up and put down, quickly take off, and and shoot with. When you think about dressing in a layered way, you want to show up wearing the most amount of everything right out of the gate, because that's what we're going to start with and shoot with first. As time goes on, we're going to slowly shed some of those items until we get down to a more simplified wardrobe option. But we've taken pictures along the way, now creating all these different looks and feel. I'll give an example. I worked with a young man a little while ago doing this exact approach with him. He showed up wearing nice dark denim jeans, nice black shoes. He had on a white dress shirt with a tie and a jacket. And we started with that really dressed up look and feel. And we took several frames, different poses, different positions with him wearing it. We then had him simply just loosen the tie. Now it's a different look and feel. Took more pictures. Then we had him ditch the tie and just kept the collar open. Still wearing the jacket. Different look and feel. We then had him take the jacket off, and he held it over his shoulder and he held it in his arm. Different look and feel. Then he put the jacket completely out of frame. Different look and feel. Then he actually took the button-up shirt off because underneath he had a t-shirt on underneath that he wanted to show and use for his look. And now we're a completely different look and feel. And so we went, in that 20 minutes, he went through, what is that, like 5 or 6 different looks simply just by loosening some things, taking a few things off, and getting down to that. And in 20 minutes, we had 6 different looks of wardrobe to his session, which gave a great variety. You take that and you combine that with the changing of the environment a little bit, you've got even greater variety. So that's one of those tips and tricks that I highly recommend is start layered, work your way down to more casual. If you're an athlete, bring something that is tied to that, a football helmet or swimming goggles or the marathon batons or running shoes or whatever those things are that are of interest to you. Bring them in a small way. Now, just keep in mind that just because you bring these things isn't a guarantee that everything is going to be incorporated into your photos. But it's one of those things where it's like we would much rather have it and not use it rather than going, gosh, this would be great to have this in this shot, and you didn't bring it and we don't have it. And bring it with you. Don't leave it in the car, okay? Because that's now time wasted for somebody running to the car to go and get it and coming back. Again, you're only operating in 20 minutes. When it comes to posing, if you're somebody that goes, I just don't like the overall, my body type or the way that I look and feel, I understand. So one of the things that I do, is I work with different body types and we will do different types of poses. And there are going to be some that are going to be more flattering and complementary to specific physiques, and that's fine. And we will work with those and we will incorporate those. The other thing that people get really self-conscious about is, especially if they have any blemishes or acne, when we go through the images, first we're going to do just kind of a brief light edit, but that light edit doesn't include any sort of skin cleanup. The light edit is addressing things like exposure, alignment, making sure that you don't look tilted or falling over, adjusting the color a little bit, making sure that looks right and normal. And then we will present you an online gallery where you can look through and pick your favorites. Okay. Once you've picked your favorites, we will run it through a skin cleanup phase of retouching, and we will eliminate or dramatically reduce any of those blemishes or imperfections, so that way things look cleaner. And for a lot of people, that helps with their confidence. And that's one of the things that I want to make sure that you understand, but only after you've made your initial selects. We don't go through and we don't do skin cleanups until you've made your selection. That then follows up with the last part, kind of now that it's all done, you've made your selects, how do you get your photos? What do you get to do with your photos? How does that work? And again, this is one of those things that varies from photographer to photographer. In my studio, when you do a senior mini portrait session, you're going to get up to 10 images that you can use in a web digital format. So what does that mean? Well, that means that you can put it on social media. You can put it on a website. You can put it on your phone. You can put it as a screensaver on your computer or on your tablet. Okay, that's typically where the usability is going to stop. If you try and print it, the most it will really print and look okay or look good is going to be an 8x10. You try and print it anything larger than that, you try and put it on canvas, it's just the image quality is going to fall apart and it's just not going to look very good. Now, let's say you are somebody that goes, well, I want to be able to have wall art, for my home. I want, a printable version for my office, or I got to send something off to grandma. That's totally fine. The gallery will have an online digital store for you to be able to order printed products for your home, and it will show you examples of kind of what it would look like in that space. And it's a great resource. So if you do want printed versions, that is something that we do separately, and it's available to you. You're under no obligation to buy printed versions. You will still get that web resolution version of the digital images. Now, again, I said you get 10 from your session. What happens when you love more than 10 images? And you will. It happens every time. So one of the things that we do is we offer, for a small fee, the option to buy individual photos, additional photos in an individual rate. We also offer a group discount or a bulk purchase option. So, let's say you love 10 more on top of the 10 that you already bought. Well, we offer a group rate or bulk purchase rate that you'll be able to, again, and this is an option that handles online. You don't have to call me or email me to do it. You'll just have that option to order 10 more images through the website. And that's one of the things in today's world. I just want to try and keep this as simple and easy for you, give you the ability to do it. I just want to thank you for the time for this, for listening to this. Again, I got a lot more tips and tricks on how to maximize your senior portrait experience. It's a free PDF. There's a link to it down below. It'll take you to the website where you'll put in your information to get a copy, so it knows where to deliver the download. And if you're interested in working with me for senior portrait sessions, I've got a wait list. I haven't opened the doors for it just yet, but I will be here very soon. So make sure you join that wait list, and that way you can be notified when that time comes. Thanks again. The last thing I want to ask is just make sure that you like the video, share it with anybody else you know that's considering having senior portrait sessions, and also add some comments below. What did you like about the video? What else did you want to see me talk about in this video? There will be a couple of other videos that I will be putting together as part of a series to help go through this session, to help answer any additional questions or concerns about senior portrait sessions. Again, that's why you'll want to subscribe to the channel, because you'll want to be notified when those other videos come about. Thank you so much for the time, and I look forward to working with you. Bye.